Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets. Interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I'm your unemployed host, Kim Wannop. I totally jinxed it. I told you last week, I'm on a show. We got some scripts. It's going to go. Yeah, well, they shut us down on Tuesday. So, yeah, welcome to Strikeathon 23. So, go writers. I'm with you. Let's just hurry up and get it done. Okay. Yeah, it's a bummer, man. I felt for everyone that had been shut down, and then I really felt for myself and my coworkers and everyone on my show that we had been shut down. And I was really kind of couldn't believe it. I was really bummed. So that sucks. But funny enough, that day and then the next day, Rob Lowe was on on the picket lines and in support of the WGA. Awesome, pal. But I feel like they kind of made it that it was because he supported the writers, but I kind of feel like Netflix shut it down before. I mean, I'm sure he supported them and maybe that weighed in on their decision, but I just thought but good for him and his son being out there with the writers. Keep it up. It's going to be, you guys better be out there every day. That's all I'm going to say. You better keep on it. I mean, people are picketing outside of movie studios, outside of TV shows and films that are filming and causing them to shut down. So, power to the people. Let's do it. Let's get it done quickly. Quickly, people. But I don't think it is. So that is a bummer. I mean, when they put out all their proposals and what they asked for and then the response of the producers, I have to say, it's pretty dick. When you're trying to talk to someone and you bring up a point and then they don't acknowledge it, it makes you feel like you're nothing, like you're not even in the room. There was 3 or 4 proposals that the writers had that the producers didn't even respond to. I feel like that's kind of mean. I don't know. That's not nice. That's not negotiating. That's not negotiating. I don't know. But I also think the writers put in a lot of things and that are justified. And some maybe a little bit pushing the envelope a little bit, but that's how you negotiate. You always ask for more because you're going to get cut down. So I don't think I find it too ridiculous, but some of the things that I might find a little absurd, those are probably the elements that they'll let go of if need be. So, I don't know. I mean, don't negotiate with yourself before you go in. Go in high. Always go in high. So I think that's what the writers did, and I just hope it goes well for all of us. So, I'm out of work. I mean, you're in this industry, you constantly have to check your healthcare because you can only bank up so many hours. It doesn't matter that I worked every single day for 2 years after COVID. Weekends, everything. You can only bank up so many hours. And so I've just had off for 3 months, which is kind of a bummer. I thought I had something. It didn't work out. And then I had this show, and now this isn't going to work out. And I was like, oopsie, I got to check my bank. I'm out of healthcare in November. I mean, that sucks. And I know I'm not the only one checking their banks. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be a long haul. That's my thing. I took the over. If 100 days is the over-under, I'm taking the over. Because I heard that writers have these overall deals that are like for like 6 to 8 weeks after a strike. And if it goes longer than that, then the producers, I guess, can null their contracts over these overall deals. So they're going to stick it out at least that long to get out all those deals. And then I had this conversation with a director and a producer, and they were like, look, it's going to be really bad. We think it's like 4 to 6 months. Like, you think you have it bad. Like, these people are going to lose their home. And I said, well, what do you mean? I could lose my home. Why is it just that I have to be worried about the writers losing their home? Well, they don't work all the time. I said, I haven't worked for 3 months. I mean, he's like, oh, well then. I mean, don't forget that this affects every spoke of the wheel here, especially anyone under the writers, that we can't work. They're shutting it down. So it's a writer's strike, but this halt to all of Hollywood is a ripple effect in all of our lives who work in it. So, I hope everything comes out fair and dandy, because it's affecting so many people. And I think it's a long haul. I think it's 4 to 6 months. I don't know, but I hope not. But anywho, let's get positive here. I went to an Apple Plus Design FYC sponsored by Apple, and I told you about it in the last episode. All of the people that were going to be in, and my friend Jamie McCall, who you can hear on this podcast in an earlier episode, was supposed to talk about Schmegadoon season 2, but then Apple decided not to fly in people who weren't LA based because they thought that the event might even get shut down and canceled, so they didn't fly people in. So I'm super bummed, because she really wanted to spotlight her show and talk about the design. So attending were Kristen Mann, costume designer, and Jennifer Degnan from Loot, which got shut down this week. LJ Hudashell from the show Physical. Production designer Maya Siegel, who you can hear on this podcast a month ago, from Hello Tomorrow. And costume designer Camille Benda from Bad Sisters, which I watched a pretty long clip there of Bad Sisters, and I think I'm going to get on it. I know a couple of people have told me it's really good. I'm going to get on that. It looks, I can dig it. So, first of all, fantastic panel, and moderated by Nelson Coates, head of the ADG. And little side note, it was all women, which I thought was very powerful. But just fantastic to hear about all their creative ideas and research and passion that went into these projects, to hear how the costume designers and production designers work together. Little bummed no one mentioned set decorators. I don't know what that was weird. Very weird. Little odd. But I mean, all of their work is up on that screen, and I think it was just a great event for Apple to have for the creative sides, instead of just the actors, writers, directors, at the usual for your considerations. This was really catering to the creative Emmys, and I really appreciate that they put that on. It was also great to meet Maya Siegel, because I had not met her, and my friend Kristen Mann, who is the costume designer of Parks and Rec, The Good Place, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I think she did. I don't know, she's done so many things. And Jennifer Degnan, who I haven't seen in so long. So on a personal level, it was just great to be, to be in the room with, it was just great to be in the room with friends and celebrate their work. So that was great. What am I watching? One Up is watching Secession. Fantastic. That fight scene was so real. But here's what I want to know. Can anybody tell me? So does Tom know that she's pregnant? Sorry, spoiler. Because I can't tell if he was saying all those mean things to her because he knows, or does he not know, and that's really mean. So, I don't know. But fantastic bottle episode A bottle episode is when it's all in one set, really, and you don't go to many locations, you don't do a lot, you keep it isolated, like in a bottle. And then Barry is gotten super weird. It went from on my bail to awesome to I don't know. I don't agree with this ending. I hope it's a dream. I hope they knew-heart it and it's a dream. And then someone somewhere still loving that, and I noticed that the episode was written by Rachel Axler, who I worked with on Veep. Super sweet, fantastic writer, super talented, and I was so happy to see that she had written the latest episode there. So it's a super oddball dark comedy. I don't know if you'd get into it, but it's I just enjoy it. Not much else. I went back and I watched the pilot to Deadwood because I told you I just finished that David Milch book, which I cannot stop thinking about. I think about it every day. I think about something, what he was talking about, luck and the horses, or I think about NYPD Blue, or I think about him starting out on Hill Street Blues. There's something that really touched me, and I think because, industry, and I've watched his whole career, and I'm such a fan, I just keep thinking about it, and I think it's so goddamn sad. That disease is going to take that wonderful creative brain away from us earlier than it should have. So, but the pilot of Deadwood, it's just poetry. And the sets by Maria Queso, decorated by John Brown and Maria Ney that first season. It's fantastic. Oh, the costumes and just everything about it is like elevated. It's just, it was different. It was a different kind of drama, and I really appreciated that show. So I went back and watched that. I don't know if I'm going to do the whole, I don't know if I could do the whole season again. I mean, I love it, but I don't know. I would actually rather start The Wire again, or maybe Game of Thrones. I don't know. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I don't know. Are we going to have a lull in TV with the strike? I doubt it. But I'm going to have to go back to some classics, And then I finished Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip in Thailand, and it was okay. I know you've been waiting for me to talk about it. It was all right. There wasn't anything big. It was really kind of annoying, actually. It wasn't good enough. They didn't really have enough story for me in Thailand. So that's it. That's what I've been up to this past week. And, I got a commercial. So I'm kind of like, yes, I am out of work. The commercial's only a couple days long. And I really dislike working on commercials. So I do have a commercial for a couple days this week. So thank God, got a little something, something. And I looked on the board of the prop houses I was at today of orders going out, and they were all commercials. There's like the old man, I think David Smith is still working, God bless him. He's still kicking. I saw his orders up there, and I don't know. It was really dead. I closed down one of the prop houses. I was like, please don't lock me in. I have so much to do for this commercial. But yeah, so I'm lucky in that sense again, and I will be unlucky when it goes down, and then I got nothing for months and months. It's gonna be great. So I think you're gonna like this guest. It's very interesting because, I don't know all of these guests that I have on. I'm so lucky to be contacted by PR or agents and everything to speak to people. I'm really have been lucky like that. And I think that's obviously broadened the scope of my guests on the show to more than just my friends. So I know you like hearing from my friends, but yeah, strangers are cool too. And so I didn't know James, and super nice. And he works in like short films and shorts. And it was very interesting to me to ask about that realm of our industry. So he is a production designer in New York City who has made his name for himself in short films and independent films, and has worked on tons of projects, including the recent indie film Late Bloomers, which is set in Brooklyn about a young girl who is entangled with an elderly Polish woman where the special relationship starts to bloom. James has a talent that he shows on his website, jamesbartol.com. These beautiful concept drawings that he does. And I think it's important for anyone listening, if you want to look at somebody's process and a designer's renderings, just take a look. I just like that people show the work sometimes. So I was really appreciative of his website, jamesbartol.com. We also talk about South by Southwest, which he was at this year, which I know nothing about, and was really interested in, like, how does that go? What do you do there? Like, how do you manipulate that into another job, or like, is it worth it? But I really enjoyed speaking to him about this little pocket of the industry that I really don't know anything about, short films, and just very interesting to connect with someone on the other side of the country in a different realm of this little world of ours, and talk about his process. So I hope you enjoy. It's just me, man. I'm a one-man band here. That's it.
Wow. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the show.
Oh, thanks.
Many times.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I mean, there's nobody else really doing shows like that, talking about our industry.
Well,
our side of it.
I definitely feel like we're getting more, we're getting more into it. We're getting more publicity, I guess I should say, I think, in our, recognition. Because I think of like bigger films, they always want to do like behind the scenes, and but I don't think anyone's talking to us on a real basis. I think
no, they're not.
Like when HBO or somebody comes to do behind the scenes, you're done up. You've got a director's chair. You're on like a perfectly done set, and you're talking about the process. But
yes,
no one's sitting there being like, "Dude, I've been up since 4. I'm exhausted." So
right. I don't like when they do the behind the scenes on set when I'm like looking horrible.
Well, no.
And have been up since 4 and I'm like covered in paint and whatever else. And
yeah.
I'd rather not be captured that way.
But there doesn't ever seem to be a good time to do it for us. Because
That's true too. That's true.
Especially for designers, you're scouting, you're in a meeting, you're looking on your next gig, like something. There's always just something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I do.
Yeah,
I think we're getting more. I do think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just looking at
that.
it more. I don't know.
It does seem like I'm seeing more behind the scenes stuff on. I miss DVDs for the like behind the scenes special features.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see streaming content like start to bring that back a little bit.
Yes.
But I feel like I see now on more social media and Instagram videos and stuff like how the show is made, kind of.
Well, I was talking to the decorator of oh god, she just won the Oscar, Ernestine Hipper, for the war movie. But now I can't think of the name.
Yeah.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
So she said it was such a like kind of not a low budget, but like not a big film for Netflix. They didn't do any behind the scenes.
Jeez.
Like,
wow.
They screened it like during the end of filming, and then went in like on the last day and did a couple little things, because it's a German film.
Okay.
It's not like it's a German film that they made for Netflix in Germany. They didn't think it was going to be Best Picture or like up for it. Or
I know.
It's crazy.
I mean, I was surprised too. I think it's great. I think it's very. I mean, the design is amazing, but it kind of like snuck out of nowhere. I felt surprised to see it.
Yeah, My
But
husband had been he put it on and I was like, I don't want to watch a sad war movie. I can't do it. He's always got like Nazi war movies on or something. I'm always like, I can't. We know the ending. But he had it on, so I watched it, and then I had to watch it again because I talked to her, and I was like, oh, this is brutal. Like,
yeah.
war movies now are so realistic and so brutal. It's a lot.
I've
It's
not
not
done
my...
any sort of war movie.
I don't know. Like, I don't even know
Fine.
if I was offered something like that if I'd go for it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, period. To do
Yeah.
it in period would be fun, but I guess it's still a lot of mud and dirt and trenches and
Yeah.
blood and
I mean,
well, that's exciting for us.
I know. I mean, the amount of work they did is incredible. But and then, funny enough, I have two little boys, and we were watching Wonder Woman last night from a couple years ago with Gal Gadot, and
Yeah.
they have a whole trenches and everything, like, and it's in the movie for like maybe less than 5 minutes, but it's like a full on war zone, and I was like, oh, they did all that too. Like, like you forget how much work goes into like all these 5 minute scenes in these movies. It's crazy.
Well, isn't that always the case though? The stuff we put the most time into lasts the least, or it hits the cutting room floor.
Yes. Or they
You have
never
to
turn
reconcile
around.
with that later on.
They shoot the one dead corner, or they never turn around.
Yes. That's why I'm all about the communication and the pre-production process, right? You got to nail that down.
Sure. I mean, you got to have the DP in early enough in the process and talking about angles. I think that's one of the hardest things. If like we all have these meetings and you know, if they're shooting and he's not in the meetings, he's always playing catch up. Somebody else is always giving him, you know, it's a game of telephone kind of. It's always great when they prep with you.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah. But that's always like a time thing too. You know, it's never enough time in pre-production, especially.
I feel very unprepared to talk to you because I didn't get to watch the movie. You know what I mean? I didn't see Late Bloomers. I didn't see it, so I feel very unprepared. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, no, it just premiered last week. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
at South by Southwest.
Yeah, very excited.
Did you go? Were you there? You were there.
I did. Yeah, I did go.
How was it? How was
my first time at South by Southwest? It's great. I mean, it's a huge festival. I had a short there that I designed probably 6 or 7 years ago, but I didn't end up going. I couldn't go. But this was the first year that I went, and the festival is huge because you're doing tech and music and all these different things. But we were on the first night of the festival, so there was a lot of, it was very exciting and everything. Everyone was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at the festival. So I think it was a great slot for us to screen at.
Oh, that's great.
And premiere.
And when you go, is it the film is viewed by the creators and an audience, and then is there a panel afterwards? Did you do a panel or anything?
We did a panel with the director, the writer, producers, and then our lead, Karen Gillan. She was they did a little quick panel, and then there were 2 other screenings after that. I had to come back to New York, so I didn't see the other 2 screenings, but I think they did panels for those as well.
Oh, nice.
But it was fun. We did it at Alamo Draft House. Was where they, and that's always a fun theater where you eat and drinks at your seat and everything. Oh, nice. So it was a perfect setting for the film. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Because it's like a dark comedy, right? Kind of ish.
Yeah. I think it's like a lot of different things. Yeah, like it's a dark comedy, but it's actually very touching, and it's very I think it hits on like a lot of universal themes for people. There was a lot of wet eyes in the audience. Which was really touching. Yeah. Yeah, I know. My team included. Like, I was lucky that most of our team could fly down, and we all stayed together. And my set decorator, art director, props team, and we were all. It's so hard to know what the film is going to be like when you're shooting it.
Yeah.
And we all had really good feeling about this one, but in the audience, we're all looking at each other like, I'm getting kind of choked up by this. Are you? It's just. because when you're in the trenches and you're shooting, it's just you're not able to
No.
you're not capable of those emotions yet.
No.
Because you're thinking about the next set and how are we going to wrap out of this room in time and that sort of thing.
You don't really get to see the performances till like if you get dailies or like, you know, you don't get to see. We're not usually standing around while they're doing 20 takes. We're too busy. So, and then also seeing it all together and music and the editing is always like gives it such, tells more of the story. So yeah. That's awesome.
For sure.
That's awesome.
It was great. It was a really good feeling. It's really validating. It's always great to see how people respond to your work and in the parties afterwards, talking with folks about how they felt about the film. And it's always, really rewarding. And there weren't any moments where I was like, oh, I wish that they kept that they didn't cut any of my favorite sets or anything like that. And that's always a good feeling. And everything looks, color correction also, because as you know, like color correction can affect our design in so many different ways. And it was like and it only helped. So that was a great feeling.
That's fantastic. Is South by Southwest good for networking, do you think?
I found it to be. I mean, I could only be there for about 3 days. Mm-hmm. But there were a lot of parties, a lot of premiere parties. I was lucky that I knew some people there who kind of like directed me where to go and who to talk to and that sort of thing. But it's all, I mean, there are a lot of events. There's a lot of tech events. The film events are fewer, but lots of, after show get-togethers and mixers, networking, things like that, which I'm not, typically very good at, but I think they cultivate an environment there that feels very casual and not like schmoozy.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if like, if say like the Art Directors Guild or like anyone has, I don't even know. Do they have a booth there? Are they represented there at all? Do you know? I don't think so, right?
Not really. I met some people. I don't think so. I met members. I talked to some members at different events and stuff, but they didn't have like a specific like booth or
I didn't know
presence there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Because I think they've done some like Comic-Con type things or like the Set Decorator Society, like Comic-Con, and I didn't know if Southwest was. I mean, they should. Why not? It's an opportunity. People have awesome work there that's being seen, and it seems more like that, like the community of South by Southwest is like a not smaller but like more connected into what's going on at the event. Like Comic-Con to me seems like huge, like it's out of control at this point. There's so much shit. Whereas it's South by Southwest might be more focused, and it might be like a good networking and just camaraderie and meeting other people type event.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And it was fun because I ran into so many people I've worked with in the past and so many people I went to school with that I haven't seen in ages. Just by happenstance, some people I knew that were going, but I'm in New York and a lot of my schoolmates and people I've worked with obviously moved to California too. So it's like running into person after person of like, it's been so long. And then kind of rekindling those relationships in many ways that, may or may not work together again in the future.
And I read in your bio, you went to Tisch for school.
Yeah.
And then what is the program that you did in Germany in 2020?
Oh, yeah.
During the start of the pandemic. I'm sure that was fun.
Well, it hadn't started yet. It was like I landed here. So it's part of the Berlinale Film Festival. Mm-hmm. You apply to this program that's more or less like workshop for a week with people worldwide. They have designers, they have production designers, they have DPs, directors, writers, and editors, I think. And they select a few, probably about a dozen from each category internationally. And then we had sort of like our own production designers, like workshops and classes. And then we also met with like the whole group of, other, what they called Berlin Alley talents.
Oh, cool.
Other directors. And yeah, it was an amazing workshop and like networking thing. I met some amazing people worldwide. I was the only production designer from the US there that year, which was a little intimidating. But
awesome.
I realized how much I, need to learn other languages. But it was a great experience. And I still keep in touch with the folks that I met there. But I flew back from Germany, landed here, to actually did a week in Ireland, and then came back here. Everyone's like, what is this pandemic that everyone's talking about? And then like a few days later here in New York, everything shut down. Like, oh, okay. So I just missed it, luckily.
God.
And the rest,
what a time.
The rest is history there.
What a time to experience that and then be like total lockdown.
Well, yeah, that was what kind of stunk, because we built up this momentum and everyone's like, I had a friend in London who's like, I have this project I think I could bring you on in, this shooting this spring. And like, we're talking about like, oh, you could totally come here. And then of course, all that momentum gets lost when everybody's projects get canceled or postponed.
Yeah.
So that said, I still keep in touch with everybody, and one of these days we'll all work together, reconvene, or something like that. It was a nice little like team.
Gotta keep touch. That's like, when I used to be a lot better, like when I was off or on hiatus, of like having lunch with the first designer I ever worked with, or like always, like I feel like I always you have to, because we're all so busy. It just is like, oh, it's been 4 months. I never returned that email. Like, you get swamped, and then the time goes by, and then you miss people, and it's,
You do, yeah. I actually just got lunch with one of my teachers the other day,
oh my God,
from NYU, who I haven't seen in a long time, and she's been like a constant mentor to me too. And we hadn't, during the pandemic, the last few years, we hadn't seen each other because she sort of relocated to get out of the craziness here. And yeah, I was reminded, like, it is so important to just meet up with people, mentors and collaborators, just to, at the very least commiserate. But
yeah. Well,
more
also
so,
to keep,
lift each other up.
Yeah, lift each other up, camaraderie, and also to keep people in mind, and to keep yourself in their mind, to think of you for projects or whatever. Or like, I always think it's things happen for a reason, but like, especially when you're hiring people and you're like, God, I just got this show, and then like out of the blue some buyer will text me and I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like, that was good timing. Yeah. Let's do it. Like, things like that to me are always like, oh, I think that's meant to be, if like this happens. And so I always try to keep in mind, like, think of me.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I mean, I know networking sounds like a dirty word so often. And, as much as we don't want to do like social media, it is like how you, how you continue relationships with people, jobs aside. It's how you, keep in touch with these people that you enjoy working with, and know what they're up to, and know you can bring them on to your next project.
And I think too, we're in an industry that, like after parties, and I mean, there's no more rap parties, so that's a bummer. But like, like if you were at South by Southwest, like
different.
Yeah, like just, there's always a party, it seems like, in Hollywood. At least now it's coming back to like, there's always a party. So that's always a thing. And it's nice, it's not like, it's usually not schlubby. It's like nice. It's always like, oh, they had free alcohol. They had free drinks. Like, it's always kind of nice.
Exactly. I know. That was the great thing about Austin. And too, I was like, oh my God, so many free tacos, but I'll take it. Free margaritas and cocktails and things. So
there you go.
That's one way to get people through the door.
Yeah, exactly. But, you're also teaching at Montclair State.
Yeah,
are you done?
That's a new thing for me.
You're doing that now, or you have done it in the past?
I'm doing it now. Last year's the first year I did it, just during the spring. I just sort of kind of fell into my lap in some ways. There's a amazing production designer who teaches there, who has taught there for a long time, Nora Shavushian, and she decided to go more in. She decided she wanted to be more bi-coastal, and so in the spring semesters, she lives in Joshua Tree now. So
Oh, wow.
they were looking for someone to replace her for the spring of last year. And I thought, well, it's a little bit, spring here in New York is a little slower than I'm sure it is for you in California, because it's cold and
well, it's rain.
the daylight is,
we're got
daylight.
A weird year.
Well,
this
your weather's a whole other.
We're rain. It's pouring for the next 2 days. It's like people freaking out about rain. It's crazy, but we needed it, and now we got too much. I don't know. I can't. I'm not a meteorologist. I don't get it. Okay.
It's a lot. I hear a lot of things going on over there with it. Yeah. But it gets pretty slow here in the spring, or at least in the winter. And this opportunity sort of fell into my lap last year. That a friend of a friend said maybe you should try it. And I was very intimidated. And I thought, well, what do I know about teaching young people? Like, aren't I like a college kid?
Right. Exactly. I do math as if I'm 30. Oh, no. Like, how would I?
Yeah, it's wild. But I enjoy it so much. I was able to go through all my old schoolwork. Luckily, I kept a lot of that stuff to build my own syllabus. And great. Just to see these kids get really excited about it, it like made me so much more excited. And I'm going through and I'm pulling film clips from my favorite films and like talking about design. And it was just like so refreshing, because I think we easily get so jaded about the work that we do.
Yeah.
And it's just to see like, oh, this is why I loved this. And this is why I got excited in school about entering production design and production. And it's so fun to see that look on their faces now. So I did last spring, and then they asked me back for this current spring semester.
Fantastic.
So I'm doing it again, which is great. And it's only part-time, so I can take on little commercials and little things here and there at the same time. And yeah, it's just good for your soul.
Oh yeah. Ways. I mean, it's definitely one of the audience that I target for this is people who want to get into this business, because no one knows how to do it. Really, you don't know how to approach. So many people, including myself, I didn't even know what a set decorator was. You mean as many credits as I've ever watched, like. You don't know what all of these hundreds of positions are when you watch, The Crawl. So I think, so many programs are available, but I also wanted to be able to be like something available, to the mass of like, hey, if you're interested, here's an insider view. And so that's one of the things that I try with this. And I'm sure in teaching like this, I get excited when I meet people, and I just want to hear like, that was a set? I thought it was a location. I can't believe you built that. Like, I'm so excited talking to people and hearing about people's work, because it's amazing what we can pull off. It's awesome.
It's amazing, and it's people come in from so many backgrounds and so many different levels of experience in different fields, and it's I think it's unlike many other career paths.
Yeah. My boyfriend at the time did 2 years at Montclair State, so I know that campus well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
I used to go all the time.
It's a really lovely campus.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then, so how did you know that you wanted to do design? How did you, obviously you went to college for it, you had a path that way, but how did you know that's what you wanted to do? Were you just like
I knew I wanted to be in film for as long as I could remember as a kid, playing with the home video camera and getting my friends and family to act in little, in movies or little like Lego stop motion, animation movies and that sort of thing. But I also was really into theater. And I did all the sets for our high school theater productions. And I also helped start a children's theater program I'm from a very small town in Maine that didn't have a whole lot of arts opportunities. So a friend of mine and we started a children's theater program and sort of built this theater from the ground up with a lot of help and a lot of, grant money and that sort of thing. And I was building the sets for the productions. And it was so fun to like build these sets for these kids and to see them walk in and feel, they're in like Sleeping Beauty's castle suddenly, and their eyes would just light up. And, for me at 17, that was amazing. And I still think all the time, I would totally go back and do that again for a little while. That was
right?
so gratifying. Yeah. But I knew I always wanted to do film, and I really thought I wanted to be a director. And I went to NYU and I enjoyed it. I was starting to make my student films, and I just realized while I was directing and producing these things that I was so much more interested in the visual worlds of the project than like getting the performances. And I could tell, my strengths were more towards the set design and the overall aesthetics. And I had a teacher there, John Neomarque, who's an art director, a lot of amazing credits. And I took an art direction class, kind of knowing, what that field was and figuring I would have an interest in it. But as soon, while I was taking the class, like I immediately was like, oh, okay, this is what I want to be doing, because it's creating a visual world. I had also been really interested in interior design. Creating, and then of course my experience with set design and stage design. And I just thought like, oh, this is the perfect combo. Like I'm telling stories like I wanted to in going into film, but you're telling stories with space and objects. And that's like a language that I can, speak really well. And then just realize like, okay, this makes sense.
You work in such a world that I'm like, our world is so small, kind of, when you think about it, how many people actually do our jobs. But there's so many different like, I don't know, commercial people, I'm like, I have no idea. I've done like 5 commercials. I hate it. I never want to do it again. And then, but you have this wonderful resume of like short films and independents and winners of festivals. And like, that's a whole nother, like, tier of how you can work in this business. I just think it's so fascinating of like, oh yeah, I like, that's a whole nother. And I think too, in New York, it's probably more like accessible. I feel like there's not a lot in LA. I don't know. That's just me. I could be wrong.
Yeah. No, I have not had a lot of experience in LA. The shoots that I've done in LA, I have flown over, like they've flown department heads over. They've been New York based projects, and they've flown department heads over, and we've hired local crew.
Right.
So I've done a couple. I did a short right out of school with Dakota Johnson, actually, way ages before everything else. And she, that shoot was my first time in California working at all. I mean, it was one of the first time I was working, period. But it is a very different world out there. Yeah. But I mean, obviously climate at the very least, but it's I think New York is more prone to independent film, I guess, or more it's kind of like the birthplace of independent film, which is where my experience really lies. But that's not to say, I mean, I certainly think about moving out there all the time. But
I used to think I'd move back because I'm from like Philly, South Jersey, and I used to think, I'll move back to and I'll work in New York. And then like once I figured out like, I have to join like another union. I already got in this union, and then I was like, I have the fear of like actually working in New York City was like, I can't do that. I don't know. I don't know. I know traffic here is bad.
Well, I feel the same way. So.
Yeah, I know. It seems like so daunting of like traffic and people and trucks and parking and like, oh my God, I don't know how they do it.
But it is a lot. Like New York does not want film.
Which is crazy.
New Yorkers don't love film shoots. Well, there are a lot of obstacles shooting in New York City, but it's also such a like photogenic city to, it makes so much sense. And it does bring in a lot of money for the city, obviously. I mean, primarily the shoots that you see are TV. We're doing all those procedurals, a lot of the cop shows and stuff here all the time. But and a lot more TV than film in general, I'd say here. But I don't know. I mean, it's changing all the time, especially. Now we've got new Netflix stages coming in Jersey next year.
They bought up a huge they bought up a huge thing in Newark. Is it Newark or outside of Newark or?
It's a little outside of Newark. It's like a big army base, and they're going to turn it into this full like big studio lot with like a back lot, and yeah, I'm excited. I will see
Well,
if
I
it
think it's
when it
fantastic.
finishes, but it looks cool. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's out.
So it's
But what's going on over
happening.
there? Like, what? How you gonna? I don't know. I'm thinking of like resources and everything. Like, what's going on over there? Is there like a graphics place you can go to, or like, you know what I mean? Like, how are they gonna? There's no prop houses over there, and that's.
There are
Oh,
actually.
there
Jersey
are.
is like pumping. Yeah,
Oh,
they're more even over the last couple of years. They're more and more because there's just more real estate
yeah.
out in Jersey for a warehouse of props. It's a lot cheaper for them to be out there. So there are a few,
Oh, good.
and Brooklyn and Queens still. Majority of the shooting I do is in Brooklyn and Queens,
Yeah.
and prop houses and fabrication houses and that sort of thing are mostly Brooklyn and Queens. But I think it's moving out there too.
I would have never known if you didn't tell me that. I do have to say you have a fantastic website. It's very
Thank
visual and
you.
clean and like just easy to navigate. And I was kind of obsessed with your styling. It was like, so do you?
Thank you.
Is this styling for magazine shoots? Like you have a whole page of just these beautiful photographs of like food and place settings and drinks and then pretty
Yeah.
ladies and cakes. Like I was like, wow, this guy's in everything.
It's I should be a little more descriptive on where the origins of all those projects are, but the ladies are a photo series I did with Amy Arbus, Diane Arbus's daughter, who's amazing experience.
It's great lighting.
That was my sort of intro. Oh yeah, she's very, very talented. And then I think that a lot of the shoots on there are just like personal projects. I went through a really big cocktail and baking phase, which I guess is not over. So, especially during the pandemic when we were sitting in our apartments, and I was like, I have to find some creative fulfillment here. So I just did a little bit of that. And then I also co-own a vintage reselling business with a friend of mine who's also a set decorator. Yeah, so we started by selling online, and a lot of those photos are shoots that we did, sort of styled shoots of items we were selling.
Oh, that's awesome.
That we put online, and yeah, it's something that he and I still do. We started online, and now we have a space in Newburgh, New York, which is a little bit an hour and a half from the city or so, and it's kind of turned into this really nice little side business that also. I've accumulated, as I'm sure you have, so many props and set dressing pieces throughout the years. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I don't think I have anything in. Oh, maybe that lamp, but how many lamps can you get? Like, you know what I mean? But yeah,
well, you do. Surprised.
Yeah, no, I know. If you got room, because
yeah,
and I'm sure with independents and short films. When the movie's over and you've bought all this stuff, basically the company's like, we don't want it, and we don't want to store it, we don't want to do it, so just, get rid of it. We don't want to know type.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. And I try to be as green as possible with all of that because there is so much waste in the film industry, as you know, but yeah, I definitely have left film sets with some stuff. And then I also am like just a collector of antiques and vintage things, and then now that I have this business with my friend, we share a storage unit, and we pull from that for our shoots all the time, which is nice to have your own little inventory of things. So yeah, that's where a lot of that styling came from. And then I also worked with Condé Nast a couple times, doing some tabletop kind of shoots. Yeah, I would love to do more of it. More styling stuff.
Is like there's a lot of opinions when you're doing like magazine shoots and styling and like I had a friend in finance who was even on the sets, like when they would do shoots. She worked for like Palm Wonderful and everything, and it was still like very like precise and everything, and a lot of opinions of going into those photo shoots. It's stressful. And then they'll be like, do we have a pink glass? And you're like,
Oh my God.
What?
Don't get me started.
That's why I don't do commercials.
Yes.
I can't take that. I can't take that we have enough pressure,
Yeah.
but commercials is a whole nother level. I can't do it. But yeah.
It's a different environment for sure. And when I do commercials, I have to go into it, you have to brace yourself for that. But I also try to think of like, how am I going to make this interesting for me? And like, how am I going to like find creative satisfaction with this? I find with commercials, it's just always about bringing options. You have 4 different couches and 4 different lamps and, multiples of everything. So that you can say, oh, well, we have this, we have these other 3 to choose from if you don't like this one. And then it's all just, options.
Yeah. I pride myself on 1 sofa and 2 lamps. You know what I mean? Like, because I hate to see my crew do extra work. So I do the extra work beforehand of like getting it approved or whatever so that we could just do it. So then I don't have that mindset of doing it in commercials. I just feel like it's such a waste, but yeah. No, you have
well, because I think in the commercial world, there's so many new, like you said, new voices that are on set that were not a part of the pre-production necessarily. So all of a sudden, you've got this head of the company who hasn't really been a part of the planning here. And okay, so we got to pivot this way a little bit. All right.
Who are you?
But it's good practice.
And how old are you? Yeah. I did this Home Goods series of commercials, and I swear to God, the girls were like 20, 22. And they were like, this one girl, she came in and she was like, I don't know about this pillow. And I was like, I do. I picked it. I'm a decorator. So that's why it's the color matches this and this. That's why I picked it. Oh, I was like, okay. So anyway, over here, I'm like, I'm not, how old are you? I had no concept of like, that 20-year-old probably should have just fired me, but I was like not having it at that point. I was like, no, I know.
Yeah, it's different than a film or a series for sure.
Yeah,
because I think also in production you're working with people that exclusively know production, and in like an advertising field, you've got people, in commercial, you've got people that have maybe never been on a set before and don't necessarily know how all the pieces work.
And it's offensive. You're not a decorator. You're not a designer. Like, why is your opinion? That's weird to me. That whole structure of commercials is weird. Of like, do you think red is going to sell? Like, why are you saying that pillow doesn't work? Like, that's why I get offended of like, no, I'm hired to do this. We're hired to be the creative. Why are all these like dorks here?
Yeah. I think it's about asking questions too about like, oh, okay, like I think that, I see, I was thinking that this pillow would work. What makes you like this one more? And then when you just are kind of making it a conversation, and sometimes you can kind of, I try to see where their head's at, and sometimes it's like I can tell that they want an opinion because they can have an opinion, which I totally respect. Yeah. But maybe I can help you direct that into into what works, something that works for everyone, for all of us.
No, I think you're right. I just got offended. I just went completely. It was such an awful experience. I can't even.
Oh no. It is a different environment, for sure.
Yeah. One of fantastic things you have on your website too is a lot of drawings of your process and a lot of your renderings for your sets. For renderings, is that marker? What is the medium you're using for? I forget which one I was on.
A couple different ones. I used to do like pencil and pen and even watercolor.
Like the David Copperfield ones are like fantastic. Like frame it and sell it. Oh,
thank you.
Sell it. Put that in your shop. Sell those. They're gorgeous.
I appreciate that. Oh, thank you. God, no, yes. that was a pandemic I'm bored project where I thought, how am I going to stay creatively? Luckily, I worked through most of the pandemic, but there were some times where I was like, I have to take advantage of this time. So I thought, why don't I do like a concept, just a design concept, as if I'm designing this set with endless resources. And so I did some floor plans, and I made a little model, and I did these concept drawings too. And it was a good way to practice all those all those skills, especially now that I'm doing more digital drawing and digital drafting.
Yeah. You're a
those are skills
fantastic
of like, you're
sketch
not
artist,
flexing that.
and I mean, they're
Thank you.
beautiful. They're really great
Oh,
and
thank
very
you.
artistic and mood. Like in your drawings, you're really good with the shading and the lighting, and like you've created such great mood with them.
Thank
That
you.
should be a project
I
for your
appreciate
students. Get them doing this shit.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm lucky that I've had a lot of art, fine art. I'm not going to say training, but classes, and I used to go to a drawing group pretty regularly. But I do think it's helpful rarely do you have time to like do concept art for every or renderings for every set of especially of a feature, and especially in the indie world. But as often as you can, and for short films, I'm able to do it a little more often. Because I think it really shows, you're really able to illustrate to the director and the DP what you're feeling about the lighting, so that you're not coming in with your set lit in a way that you're like, oh, this is, I would have designed this differently if I thought these were going to be the lighting choices.
Yeah.
So it's all, I'm just always telling my students, it's all about visual communication and how can you simplify things and create, convey ideas visually without having to explain them.
I think
was the challenge.
Yeah, there's something about the designer being able to render quickly, like in a meeting or like in the, on a scout or like at a location, because a lot of times I have experienced, you go back and you tell someone else to render it, and then they render it and you're like, it's not quite right, or this isn't what I wanted, but it's great. And then you show it, and then they're like brains are everywhere. Like they can't, oh, I thought we were doing that. Well, we can do that, but this is just another, concept we could. Well, why is it like, it's like they can't open up or something. So when I think the designer can just do it, it's always really helpful because, and I know you get on projects and you don't have the time to do it, but recently I feel like a lot of what the designer was trying to convey, because other people were doing it, didn't get done as he wanted.
Something gets lost.
Yeah, it's I don't know if I'm saying it right, but having a designer who can sketch is huge. I think it's and for me,
I think it's important.
In conversations with the decorator of like, no, I'm thinking like, when we do this and we have these shears here, I just want, things like that. Like, it's just a very nice communication level to have for me.
Yeah, I think it's really important for a designer to be able to draw to some degree. And I appreciate your kind words about my drawing, but I'm certainly not I don't consider myself to be an artist in my artistic strengths do not lie in drawing. But I think you have to be able to do enough to like relay this information of like, why you are buying the shears, because we want to create this lighting quality through the window. And like, there's, it helps you shop with a purpose and understanding like the bigger picture, and helps. Yeah. I think it's just like, as much as you can create physical, tangible work in pre-production, it just makes everything so much smoother. That's why I'm a big fan of models, like white card models versus 3D modeling, because I just love, right?
I love models. I miss models.
It's just fun too. It's like playing with dollhouses.
I know. So. we had a lot of physical models on my last show, and I was like, this is awesome.
Oh, amazing.
Like, look in there. You can look through it. Like, look at that little guy in there. Like, it's so great. Yeah, I miss models.
It's so fun.
Yeah. But the 3D models are so ridiculous. Like, it's wild. It's so crazy how you can, like, 3D model something so quickly and shade it and everything, and they're great. And then I say, I hope you didn't want those chairs. I don't know why you put those chairs in there. Like, I'm constantly going to like, why did you put those hooks over there? Why am I getting hooks? What are those hooks? What is all that?
We didn't talk about hooks.
Yeah. So then I'm like, oh, shit, don't talk about the hooks. Like, but that's just me. on a
No, I get that.
Yeah, don't put something in the drawing that I can't get, dude.
Right.
That's my problem with 3D rendering and set designers of like, why is there a toilet over there? Like, because it's a junkyard? Do you know how much a toilet and a fish tank is? Stop throwing fish tanks in every office. Like
Am I gonna have 3 people carry it in?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a different vehicle.
I had a huge argument with a set designer on Parks and Rec because every office would be like, oh, there's a fish tank, and I'd be like, do you know how much money it costs to do the fish tank? Like, don't put that in. Don't, unless it's like scripted or like someone's asking for shit. Please don't put that in. They were like, but it's nice.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. No, I don't even. On late bloomers, what was your prep? What was your prep? I got to get out of my own head and complaining. I'm trying to get back to you.
I'm counting the cost of the fish tank in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, right. To grab all the water, the fish.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
The noise, the sound guy hates the noise.
The
of
noise.
The little pump. Then it's like you got PETA in there with these fish. Like, just because some
animal
guy,
handlers, yeah,
some guy draws a rectangle and writes fish on there. Like, now it's like a couple of grand. It's a crazy little thing, and nobody even asked for a fish tank. He did it like 3 times in the season, and the second time I was like, we already did a fish tank or something, and then by the third time I was like, take it out, take it out before you release his drawings. I am not doing a fish tank. So, yeah. Great guy, but
not unless you're doing the graduate shot.
Yes.
Then that one, okay, I can understand that, sure.
Or hey, the director wants to shoot through the fish tank and come up on the guy and whatever.
Totally.
Yeah.
But don't be casual about the fish tank.
No, if you gotta use it now if we're gonna have it in there, then everybody's gonna be on board.
Yes. Exactly.
So,
I totally get that.
Did you have a fish tank on Late Bloomers?
No fish tank. Luckily, no. Luckily, no fish tank.
So what was your prep like for that film?
It was pretty fast.
Yeah.
We had about a month.
Oh, yeah.
But I was lucky in that I was able to bring like almost all of my usual people onto this project, like set decorator, art director, even some PAs that I loved, on-set dressers. Like, I was able to bring so many people that I've worked with before. And with short prep, I think it's so important that you can just like speak shorthand with these people. Like, they know what I like. They know, I know that I can trust them to pick out XYZ, and that I don't have to like be too hands-on.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the time.
Yeah.
And I can't approve every decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is like such a blessing, to be able to work with people that you've worked with so many times. It's just like, I feel like I'm in good hands. You're only as strong as your crew, and just lucky to have really, really great people on this one. So that helped.
Had you worked with the director or producers before?
I hadn't. The line producer brought me on, or she introduced me to the writer-director. The writers, Anna Greenfeld, directors, Lisa Steen, who they've had a lot of experience with producing and some shorts. And this was a real big passion project for them, though it's in some ways autobiographical for the writer, which is, I think, made the story especially real. And and they're both really talented and just like genuinely like lovely people to just be around, which I think, I'm sure you would agree, makes like the biggest difference.
Huge.
And especially when you're working on an independent film and it's going to be fast, it's organized chaos.
Yeah.
And you have to work with people that you like or respect, and luckily the whole team was great that way, and they really led a great crew that made everyone feel heard, and they were it was a really, it doesn't always work out that way.
No, that sounds like an awesome experience. And how long did you shoot for?
I'm trying to think. I think we shot for about a month and a half, maybe a month.
That's not bad though. 4 weeks for 6 weeks. That's not bad. It's not I mean, it's a lot, but it's not terrible.
No, it wasn't so bad. And we were able to lock locations down fairly soon. And that, of course, once you get the ball rolling on that, that's where you can really start doing the work, once the because we did shoot on location mostly.
Right. And was there, if the writer director having it being somewhat autobiographical, was there a lot of like Polish research going on, because it's a Polish woman who doesn't speak English, right? And a young
Yeah.
girl takes care of her. Right?
Yeah, yeah. In many ways, they sort of take care of each other. There's
Mm.
sort of both these very strong personalities. The lead character Louise, she's sort of this millennial mess that breaks her hip drunkenly, you know, trying to to get the attention of a guy, and ends up in physical therapy with this elderly Polish woman who doesn't speak English in the Greenpoint neighborhood of Brooklyn, which is heavily Polish.
Mm.
And so there's also some themes of like gentrification and like what that, what the Brooklyn landscape looks like now in those ways. And then they sort of grow to, they begin sort of fighting with each other. They're two very feisty people that sort of create this really sweet friendship, kind of a Harold and Maude, platonic Harold and Maude relationship, which I love. But yeah, I'm sorry. Where was your? I got too excited.
No, I was trying to give a little bit of the synopsis of the story, just for like the Polish aspect of it. Was there a lot of like?
Oh yeah.
Like if you're, so you shot in that neighborhood, which I'm sure helped with like.
Yeah, for the exteriors we
authenticity.
did.
Yeah.
For the. Yeah, definitely. For the interiors, we shot in a totally different, in a house that we pulled everything out, brought in all of our own stuff. Right. It was just a house that had the nice framework that looked like a Brooklyn apartment, but had a little bit more space, because if you haven't heard, New York apartments are pretty tiny. So we had to find something that could accommodate, and give us enough shooting room. Exactly. Which is most often the case. But there was definitely a lot of research went into that, because her heritage, the character's heritage, is super important. I actually have some Polish background, so that was kind of fun for me to do some research on. And the set decorator and I, we spent a lot of time, looking at what Polish art looked like, Polish pottery. There's a lot of like folk art in her apartment, and especially when you have an elderly character you really want to show that they have layers of, a life. And heirlooms.
Your set decorator is Brett Warnke?
Yes. Brett Warnke, yeah. Yep. And he and I also share the business I was telling you about earlier.
Sweet. Well, then you got a lot of Polish tchotchkes going on, don't you?
Well, we did do a pretty massive set sale at the end of this show, and sold off a lot of stuff to a few. The new show with Natasha Lyonne bought a lot of our dressing. Poker Face.
Poker Face.
So I haven't seen it, but I'm excited to watch it and see some of our.
I heard it's great, and I refuse to watch it because I don't like her. And then I watched this meme where they're verbatim, like it was like almost the same exact dialogue as Columbo from like 40 years ago, and I was like, and then you're like, she's doing Columbo, and then I was like, I'm not watching that. So, but I heard it's really good. I haven't
seen it, yeah.
I heard it's a good show. I heard it looks great, and I mean, from what I've seen, it looks great too. So, but yeah, you probably got your stuff in there. That's cool. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun to see.
Yeah. I love seeing.
I don't know much about it.
I love seeing. Seeing anything that I've like given or sold to prop houses in the prop house, because I'll be like, oh, I like that chair. Well, I like that chair because I bought that chair. And then you see it on another show. And
pat yourself on the back.
Yeah. Like now every time, a lot of White House shows, I'm like, there's my sofa. Like, they got my sofa. But yeah, it is fun because it's nice to see like things live on, like in a weird way. Like furniture and tchotchkes live on and complete another character. It's great. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a big reason why I'm really into antiques too, is I just love the like narrative quality of objects and like the history that objects can have. And I think that's just adds so much life to your sets too, when you're bringing in these.
And plants. You have a lot of good plants there in your background.
Well, I almost cleared some of them out because some of them are not looking so great after I've been away.
Well, they look good
They're
on
angry with
Zoom,
me.
but like I can't
Okay,
do
good.
Yeah.
It's
No.
a filter.
Yeah.
It's a plant filter.
Plant filter. Are you working on anything? What are you doing? I mean, you're teaching and everything,
I've
but
got a couple things.
yeah.
Teaching, I just I wrapped at the end, or I guess it was January. I wrapped a Hulu ABC show, a new show called The Age of Influence.
Nice.
It's about social media influencers turned scam artists. And
is there a lot of money in that?
docuseries.
Can we get in on that? Is that real?
These people made a lot of money. Yeah, they're true stories. So that very Anna Delvey's in an episode. It's very much that her sort of world of people. So fascinating stories, and it's a docuseries with reenactments. And I designed the reenactments, but we did some really cool. I've done reenactment shows before in a traditional sense, but this one was really exciting for me because the director, Tara Malone, she's very into theater, and we kind of bonded over that. And so our reenactments are very theatrical. We even stage some of them on a stage in New Jersey in a big, beautiful old theater. And so the reenactments, instead of, you might see like a character on a computer in their bedroom or whatever, instead we sort of deconstructed that. And in this one particular episode, everything is put on this theater stage. And so all of the set pieces feel very, very theatery and two-dimensional. And it was a really fun way to like approach, the episode is a lot about performance, right? These actor or these influencers like presenting themselves in this way.
Right.
So it was fun to kind of think about like staging this as if it was a theater show. It's so interesting. I'm really excited to see it together. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. We did another episode where we sort of staged everything almost like a rock concert in like a warehouse. His desk, this influencer's desk is like surrounded by like a big truss, and we have this like very rock star lighting,
nice.
And all in a big warehouse. And she really wanted to keep away from doing any like traditional like true crime reenactments.
That's great.
It's more just like heightening the style of the series with the reenactments versus like filling time with reenactments.
Oh, that's great to be creative.
Yeah, really excited for people to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we did some really fun stuff, and a really great producing team that was like really open to any of the ideas that I had.
Awesome.
and great collaborative environment. Part 2 Pictures is the production company. They do a lot of shows for Hulu and Discovery and Food Network and those sort of things.
I like
but
Hulu.
This, I think, stands out from their others. Yeah, they were great. Great joy. It's my first time doing a Hulu show.
Yeah, I'm always like, oh, what's on Hulu? And then I'm like, oh my God, look at all this. Oh, there's like good stuff on here.
Yeah, there's a lot. I know, there's a lot. I think it's like, yeah.
Well, I'm sure that'll do well because everybody loves true crime. Everybody loves crime docu.
And absolutely, but this one is no blood, which I'm thrilled by. There's no murder.
Oh, nice.
It's just scamming people.
Just scamming.
So, yeah, but I learned some things I did not know. It's definitely there's a very dark side to the influencer culture.
Really?
We didn't already know. Yeah, some of these people, you should
that's
watch
a
the
good
show.
side
You'll
hustle. Maybe
mind will be blown.
We get on that side hustle. Making money and stuff. I can't, man. I don't have the time.
I learned some things. Exactly. We don't have the time. Don't have the time to scam people.
I don't have the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I do have another feature in development that I'm really excited about, called The Beltlands, and it's a 1980s Western about a biker gang in the Midwest. And I'm like so excited for the design on that.
1980s biker gang in the Midwest. Where are you shooting at?
Yeah, in the Rust Belts.
Ooh.
It looks like we're going to be in like Buffalo area or somewhere upstate New York, but haven't booked any locations yet. And right now we do have some of the cast attached is Lila Robbins from Walking Dead and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and Jeffrey Owens from Cosby Show. Yeah, and I designed the director's first film called Impossible Monsters a few years, more than a few years ago. And he's really, really talented director, storyteller. And the producer is this wonderful woman, Dorothea Mathe, who I have worked with. She's a Hungarian producer, and she brings me on to several projects, and I always have such great time. If you're working with a great producer and director, like everything else is like easy.
Yeah, don't let it go. Hold on as long as you can.
Exactly. Yeah. It's relationships like you're talking about.
Well, it doesn't seem like you're slowing down. I mean, I feel like in LA it's like a total stoppage over here, but I'm glad you got some projects going.
And we do ourselves. Yeah. Well, yeah. At the time, I've got a short film coming up, which I actually love doing short films. I would do short films all the time if I could, because it's such a great, you get to focus your attention on one or two sets that are you can really put all your attention into, and then it's over in like a couple weeks, and then you're on to the next.
That's awesome. I
think shorts are a lot, and you're less exhausted.
It's a whole nother world I don't know about. It's like even like like even I'm always so impressed with like the documentary shorts or the short films that for the Oscars and everything, and I'm like, man, these are so good. If they make this a full feature, like this is awesome. Like, they're so good.
It's fun. I really do. And some of the features I've worked on, the ideas that they will, or some of the shorts, others, the ideas, it's like it will help get funding for a feature version. So it's I think they're just creatively very satisfying to just pop in for a couple weeks and build one or two really cool sets, and then on to the next. You're not worried about stretching resources quite as much.
Right. Yeah.
Which is cool.
Good luck teaching. That's awesome. I'm so impressed with your teaching, because I think that would be so hard.
I'm sure you would enjoy it as well. I think it's really fun. It really, at the end of the day, there are challenges, but it's like, it's good challenges.
Yeah.
Challenges that test my knowledge and it's also in many ways like running a department, right? You got to have you got to show some leadership practice and making sure getting everyone hyped up and excited for this what you're working on. And
I don't know, me and my friends just started like a movie club, like a film club, and it's like in complete disarray. We can't even like figure out when we're all going to talk about it. Like, it's slow in the industry.
Well, what are you watching?
Well, the first picks were Norma Ray, because about strikes and things. Norma Ray, and then The Boy Who Lassoed the Wind or something. Oh. God, I forget. It was really good. It was really good, about a kid in Africa who came up with a wind system to help wells to make the crops, because they were having a dry season. Everybody was starving. It's a sin. So they were real uppers, but
okay.
But we haven't met yet to talk about them. But so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how long our little film club lasts. But
it's fun though. I think it's really important to do stuff outside of work. It's like our work is so consuming. We have to like make time to diversify our interests and time. And I mean, these days are impossible.
No, I know.
These hours are crazy. So
and then it's the weekend, and you got to work the weekend too. So it's a difference.
Right.
So yeah.
I always tell my friends, like, if I'm about to do a feature, I'm like, I'll see you in 2 months or 3 months. Like, I won't be around.
Yeah.
I will try to make plans, and then I will have to cancel on them because I am exhausted, or we'll be working again or whatever,
Yeah.
It's
all consuming.
I think that's something people don't realize. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not physically there, your mind is working at all times, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
The drive home, or even if I like try to zone out watching like Housewives or something, I'm usually still like on my computer looking for a lamp or sofa or something. So
and answering calls and answering messages, and I think what makes our responsibilities an extra added layer of work is that I was telling my class the other day, it's like when you're on a film set, like the art department is in at least three places at once. Yeah. We are wrapping a set, we are at the set, we're at the camera, and then we're prepping the next sets, multiple sets. And I think there's, a lot of the idea that like, okay, we're all at the set, that we're all shooting, and you know, we're all with the shooting crew. It's like, no.
Yeah.
For people that aren't acquainted with the art department or production, it's like the art department is in so many different places at the same time.
And we usually miss breakfast. We miss breakfast. We're usually the last people.
Breakfast.
Yeah, the last people at breakfast to maybe get some cold scrambled eggs, because we were there first and they weren't open yet, and now you got to wait till you open set and then you can go. So that should really be priority of teaching people. You're gonna miss breakfast.
Yes. Well, I try to be very honest with them about like what the industry is like, because I didn't get that in my education necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a wonderful education, but like some of the last classes that I do at the end of the semester, like, this is what a time card looks like, and this is what unions are like, and these are what, you know, what it's like to get an agent, and what it's like to, because those are just and like, what are the rates? Because I mean, when I first started out, people would ask what my rate was. I'm like, I don't know, and I didn't have an agent at that point. It's like, what is everybody else making? And of course, you lowball yourself because you're new and you don't.
And then you got to work your way up for the rest of your career. You got to work your way up. So you lowballed yourself once.
Right. It's definitely a learn by experience industry. But.
Yeah, I mean, I've done like how to read a call sheet, production schedules, like, you know,
that's great.
Everything like that I can think of decorator resources or tools you need, like what's in your kit, things like that. Like
that's really important.
No one taught us that.
Mm-mm.
And it's learned. You'll definitely learn it. But if someone can clue you in, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, then you don't have to fake it so much when you're first starting out. Like, oh yeah, I have a kit.
But then, are we babying people too much? Are we giving everybody a trophy? Like,
we gotta throw them into the fire and let them figure it out.
Yeah, well, that's what we did
too, I guess. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's inevitable.
Yeah, it is. You're always going to be in a situation you don't know what to do. You just have to fake it, and you have to do good. You
do
pull it off.
I think, I hate to say it, but it is. You do kind of have to fake it, and chances are you do know how to do that thing.
Yeah.
You just to access it in your own confidence and skill set.
And being resourceful. I always found, like, when I was a PA, I think one of the things was, like, I can figure this out. Like, they told me to go get this, to go find this. Like, okay, I got to go. Like, I can be resourceful. I can figure this out. Like, that's huge for being a PA.
Yeah.
I think. Especially, like,
huge.
Small films,
and
independent.
Definitely.
Yeah. You got to.
Right. When there's no time and you've got to, you can't walk somebody through everything. And I always just say, too, just be a nice person who people want to be around, because we're going to have to be around you for 12 hours a day for just like the best impression you can make is just to be friendly and helpful and present and, not sitting on your phone in the corner the whole time. Just be somebody that people want to be around, and that makes all the difference.
Unfortunately, the person on the phone in the corner, they're probably going to make it, and you're probably going to work for them one day. So people tend to fail up a lot too in this business. So either way, you're going to make it.
Yes, it's all very random.
See that? Isn't that delightful? And so interesting to me. Like, I just love learning about other little pockets of our industry, and so I'm very thankful that he was able to give a glimpse into independent films and working in short films. And again, jamesbartol.com. Check out his wonderful little drawings of sketches and concept sketches. I really enjoyed it. I looked at the website before I spoke with him, because I didn't get to see Late Bloomers, and I feel really bad about that, believe me, even though I didn't say it right away. I do feel bad about that, because it had just premiered and they wouldn't give me an early copy. I get it. It's okay. So, yeah, I felt bad. But he's got a great, sense of his process on his website, and it was nice to see that, to try to get to know him and try to see what I was getting into and talking with him. So I appreciate it. And I like his little projects he did during COVID. He did all this photography stills and everything. They're very interesting, I have to say. can't even think of what I did. Oh, you know what I did with my COVID time? I made like YouTube videos and did a lot of podcasting. So I too dove into creative side. So yeah, there you go. Coming up, thank you, James. Thank you for giving me the time. I really appreciate it. And I hope it's going well. Obviously, you can tell by listening to that, we talked, I think, in March. So a little delayed getting his out, but just really nice to speak with him. Coming up next week, we have production designer Clarence Major, and he recently did the Amazon show The Consultant with Christoph Waltz, which is fun. I think it's only 8 episodes, really quick. If you want to get that done, get that seen by next week, and then you'll hear all about it. I've set decorator Regina Graves coming up to kick off our little Emmy season here before the nominations come out. I have production designer Jamie McCall coming to talk about Schmegadoon Season 2, where they did all the sets of Chicago. Unbelievable. I have production designer Anastasia White, who is, her work that's out now is the White House Plumbers, which is really good. I started watching that too, but I didn't want to talk about it yet. So I'm going to watch a little bit of that before I talk to her. And yeah, I have another one. I don't want to say because I don't want to jinx it. And then I have another 3 that I have planned, but you know, I even hate to say what I just said because you never know. But yeah, good things coming up. So thank you for listening. Check out the Decorating Pages podcast website for all things Decorating Pages. I've been trying to put up a little blog to help people read. I don't know why you blog your podcast. I really don't get it, and it takes up a lot of my time, but I guess I have to do it. I think it's an SEO thing. I don't know, but I have to do it. So that's on there. Okay. But I do point out some of the questions that came up in the podcast and some quotes from the interview, so I'm trying to make it interesting. My Instagram is kicking ass. If you're not following Decorating Pages on Instagram, get to it. And TikTok and Insta and Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff, do it. The most important thing you can do today is rate this podcast, please, or write a review. I haven't had anyone leave a review in a really long time, so it would be really nice if you were the one right now, if you were the one to write the review. That would be pretty awesome. I would really appreciate that. But thanks. I just love that you listen, and thank you so much. For Decorating Pages, I'm Kim Wanup. I hope you got an earful.